1, 2, 3. This will be the January 7th, 2015 workshop meeting, followed by the City Council regular meeting.
Good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. I'd like to call to order a workshop meeting of the City Council of Satellite Beach, January 7th, 2015, approximately 6:30. And this is for interview for board applicants. At this time, Mr. Charbonneau, if you would please, right here, and thank you. I believe you've been here for seeing some of the other interviews. Basically, the way the process works is
a little bit.
The council will ask questions to you at the end of, as an agenda item in the council packet, which is generally towards the end of the meeting. We will vote to appoint people to particular boards. So that's the way the process is. So at this time, if you'd like, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then the council will ask you questions.
I've got a little bit of laryngitis, so I'm not going to talk too much, but I've been here 26 years, 21 in Satellite, and before that I lived in Melbourne Beach. This is permanently full-time. And then before that I was part-time in Cocoa Beach. I've run a couple of different corporations in town, and now I have the Charbonneau Foundation, which is a charity, which has taken up most of my time running the charity now. Plus my wife and I, we own 12 properties, 4 of which are in Satellite Beach. And that also takes up some of our time. I've had 40 years of experience of running corporations and doing construction work also. I mean, actually, not down there at all doing the construction work, but running multi-million-dollar projects. You probably know that I recently ran for county commissioner. I didn't win, but it was a fun run. I spent a year and a half, knocked on probably 3,000 doors, and learned a lot about people, and learned a lot about what people really were concerned about. And they surely weren't concerned about the things that I thought they were. So that's it. And the biggest thing for me is some of the people thought when I was running for $1 for county commission, it was some kind of gimmick, but it wasn't a gimmick. For me, it's just that you want to pay back to the community. It's like here, the salary here is $0. I don't care, I do a lot of things for $0. And I don't do it for the money. I do it for just I enjoy, paying back to the community. And, the fact that I own, and I've owned for quite a while now, 4 properties in Satellite Beach. I'm pretty dug into Satellite Beach. Then I own 2 other properties that are unincorporated Satellite Beach, just outside. And then I own another one that's on DeSoto, which is just a hair outside of Satellite Beach too. So, right here on the beach, I'm pretty dug in. And, I want to have, first of all, I want to have a say in what happens, with my tax money here. But, second of all, I think I've got a lot to offer. The years of experience that I do have. And that's about it. But I do plan, if you take me on, I'll be at all the meetings. I won't miss any meetings, unless I'm sick. I know some of the other councils, they've had problems. They put people on boards and people don't show up for meetings, but I'll be at the meetings.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very, very much. Who would like to start first? Any questions from Mr. Trevor?
I was just, according to the application, it says, I'm assuming your first pick is Community Redevelopment Agency. Is that true?
That would be my first pick, but anything you need me for, I'll do. Other than, I'll do library or something like that, but I don't think you want me on it. I just don't think I'd be good at it. But I'll do anything you need me for, but, the community redevelopment would be, a good thing for me. And, I'm pretty good friends with Scott Ellis, maybe I can help. I know you've had some problems, there. And, Scott and I don't see eye to eye. I mean, we've had some knockdown dragouts, but he usually listens to me, come in the end of it. And, we've had some really knockdown dragouts, but I think he respects me enough to listen to me, in the end.
Mark?
Just two questions, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Mr. Charbonneau, out of all the properties that you own, which one do you live at?
Right now, I'm in the process of moving everything to the 619. If you want to know where my pillow is, it's at 420 Port Royal Boulevard. But right now, I've moved cars. I have quite a few cars and motorcycles. They're at 619, and then I have a tenant that's on the way out. He's on a month-to-month. He was on a yearly lease, but he was a good guy, and I trusted him. He's on a month-to-month. I think we're going to sell the 420 property. We've got that listed. We're also going to sell the DeSoto property. Not that that affects anything with you all. I did speak to Tom Goodson and Jack Latfella about this, the residency thing, and spoke to a couple of lawyers, and there's like 10 criteria of residency, and where you put your head on the pillow really isn't one big one, because just say I was sleeping on your couch for the next 6 months if your wife didn't throw me out. That doesn't mean I'm a resident of your house, because I'm sleeping on your couch. It's, where your driver's license is and where your voter registration is. And I don't have my, the homestead at 420 Port Royal, just by some coincidence, I don't know why. But the homestead is in my wife's name only. I don't know why she did that. She's trying to tell me something.
I got one more question. That was the first one. Thank you, sir. Second question is, what do you see as the biggest challenge that Satellite Beach faces in the next 5 years?
They probably face the same thing that the county faces. Everybody comes to you and they want something. And the something they want, it costs money. And then you sit there and you say, okay, you want this, and it costs this, and I don't have a drawer of money to give it to you, so who would you like me to take it from? Because you have a finite amount of money to do it for. So then you have the choice of stealing money from somebody else or raising taxes. That's it. Those are the only choices you have. So you're constantly balancing that. Now, the big elephant in the room, probably for you guys and for the county, is healthcare. The healthcare thing is going to, nobody knows what it's going to cost. Right now it could go, skyrocket. And then also, your healthcare, as you all know, is not just the people that are working for you, but it's the people that used to work for you too. And people are living longer these days. So you can have. Not that I want any police officers to die early, but, you could have 3 generations of police officers, all still on the, on the payroll. And that's pretty expensive. Not just police officers, but, anybody else too. So but I see the healthcare as an exploding issue. One of the things that I've been working with, which is somewhat of a satellite issue, but it's more of a county issue. I've been working with Mike Scully, the head of school security, and every one of the school board members except for one on some school security ideas, because right now their idea of a lockdown is to lock the door with a window above the lock. So you just put your hand to the window and unlock the lock. I mean, it's the silliest thing I've ever heard of. And so we're working on, possibility of changing the locks. Now, believe it or not, and again, I know this doesn't affect you all, but there's 90,000 locks in Brevard County. I would like to have Satellite Beach be the test case of the locks. That's what I'm lobbying for, because that's what my daughter, I didn't mention, I had a child quite late in life. I was 50 years old when my daughter was born. And, or almost 50, just a couple months short. And, I want, the satellite school to be, a secure school, not only for other kids, but for my daughter too. And, and as far as, the way I feel about satellite, my wife and I have joked about it, but it's gone beyond a joke. We're gonna die here. We ain't moving. And we're not moving back to New York or Maine. That's where my wife came from, Maine. I came from New York. We're not moving back, and we don't want to go back. We're gonna basically, we're gonna die right here.
I hope you don't die right there, but Mark, any other questions?
No, sir, thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, hopefully it's a long time from now, but the point is, we're dug in, we're members of the community, and we're gonna stay members of the community, and we're not snowbirds going back or anything, we stay here.
Great. Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Dodd?
Mr. Charbonneau, if you know anything about me, you know that I talk pretty straight. And frankly, this is a crock. You have resided in the unincorporated area of Brevard since 1996, and you continue to reside there today. You can play all the games you want about the term reside. It's not going to change the facts on the ground. The facts are you don't reside in Satellite Beach, in the city of Satellite Beach. And I don't know if you even noticed or not, but this November 29 email that you sent to City Hall, you slipped up there because you gave your home phone number, and when you check that phone number, it's associated with 420 Port Royal Boulevard. So, and there's so much stuff in this, but I will tell you this, I am an attorney, and I would suggest that rather than threatening us with an attorney, you ought to talk to your attorney about all of these things where you have changed your address to your licenses and so forth to an address where you don't reside. So the bottom line is you don't pass the threshold question of do you reside in the city. So you can't be appointed. If you did reside in the city, I would not vote for you because of the games that you've been playing with us to try to force your way onto a board for which you are not eligible to serve. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Charbonneau, the question to you is, how do you feel you're a good fit to help the city of Satellite Beach? And I don't mean because of the properties that you own. My family owned a lot of property in and out of Satellite Beach, sometimes a lot, then a little. But why, other than your own personal interest in your properties, what are the other reasons why you want to make Satellite Beach a better place, and why?
Well, what I mentioned to you, the fact that I live here for 21 or 20 years, and I have no intention of moving, out of here, or back to New York or to Maine. And the fact that my daughter's, going to school here, we're part of the community, and we're going to stay part of the community. And I take exception to probably about 3/4 of what you said.
I'm sure you do.
And on this volunteer board, I assumed you're going to vote against me, and there's nothing I can do about that. But as far as running for office, if we go to court, I'll win. I spoke to an attorney. You'll lose, and I'll win.
You better talk to another attorney.
Oh, no.
Excuse me, what we're doing here is, let's just stick to the interview. And like I said, the way the process works, Charbonneau, is like any other action item that comes before the council, someone will make a motion, a second, and a vote.
Okay.
Okay? And tonight, there's 4 of us here. And as normal, I don't make motions, second them, I'm a tiebreaker, and that's the way it is, no matter who's in this position. So, that's the way we will handle it, as we handle any appointments to any board. Anything else you would like to say to us?
The other thing, the fact that I own property here, I think that I should have a say in what goes on here. And the fact that I'm willing to volunteer my time, rather than being discouraged by somebody that's got a bad attitude, somebody should say thank you for at least offering to volunteer. Even if you don't accept me, how about thank you for the offer? Rather than walk around with an attitude and chip on your shoulder.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you volunteer, everybody that volunteers for us here. We had a gentleman who we were scheduled to do tonight who could not make this meeting. This Wednesday happens to be a meeting night that he has meetings for work. And we will try to make accommodations for him because we do care about the people that put their applications in. So if there are any other questions from council? Okay. Mr. Charbonneau, as normal, you're more than welcome to stay at our, council meeting. The vote will be, it's like agenda item around 10 or 11 tonight. And appreciate it. And we'll have a break now, or council will hold 1 second, and we'll be back at 7, and you're more than welcome. But thank you for your time, and I hope you feel better.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I feel fine.
I appreciate it.
I'm not sick at all. I just can't talk properly.
Neil Johnson has trouble with the first Wednesday of the month.
Will you be here on the second Wednesday?
I believe the second Wednesday, or if we can, I just want to make sure it was okay with council because the policy says the first. And is that
That's more than
sufficient for everybody?
I want to
The second?
try to accommodate him if we can.
I know most of us know him, but still,
Yeah.
we need to do it, okay?
Yep.
Any further discussion? Are the meetings adjourned? We'll be back at 7.
Everybody's fine.
That's fine.
Hi, Ruth.
Everybody ready? Thank you. Good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the City Council of Satellite Beach, January 7th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. It looks like we're going to be very safe in here tonight, and I hope the rest of the town is doing well. Please join Councilman Breimer for a moment of silence and a pledge.
Everybody, please rise for a moment of silence. And if you would, please remember the Dominic and Barbara Montanaro in your thoughts tonight. Barbara's mother passed away, so if you could remember that, please. Let's have a moment of silence. Okay, and if you join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. At this time, we'll move on to Agenda Item 3, Citizens' Comments. This portion is for non-agenda items. Citizens' comments for non-agenda items. The floor is open.
Good evening, Council. Happy New Year. Ron Dragudis, resident, Satellite Beach. It's been an interesting past year. Some of the highlights that were presented in the Beachcaster. And I'm going to bring something up here. I brought it up before, and I'll bring it up again. There have been raises in the city. There's monies going from the CRA to the general fund, additional costs incurred, and I think part of the CRA's efforts should be considered. As was mentioned, that would be looked into back in October or November by the city manager to look into COs for the beach renourishment project. I did see something interesting posted on a website in regards to the COs availability for residents living on the beach, and also to help renourish the beach for all to use because we have crossovers. And I believe all the residents who live on the beach and are purchasing COs, surely the city can coordinate with the CRA to reimburse the residents for the COs purchased. I think it's only fair. And one of the reasons is that we've had money in there to utilize to help the state, the county, to keep the beach in pristine order. And COs contributes a lot to keeping the dunes in place. And we did experience some erosion. And COs could have made a difference of X amount of cubic yards this past year when no COs was available to residents, and finding out that COs was given to the city park areas along the beaches, and then come to find out that the COs are picked by a vendor that probably still supplies the COs that is purchased by citizens and residents. And there was none available last year. I think that's something the city should look into, and I will be presenting an invoice to the clerk tomorrow morning, amongst other residents, for a request for reimbursement on COs. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Public comment still open for non-agenda items? Hearing none, close the citizens' comment portion. Move to city council comments. Who would like to start?
Well, I would just like to kind of correct the record there on those comments. The protection of someone's property is the homeowner's responsibility. It is not the city. The county did a huge beach renourishment project, which did help to protect those beachfront homes. But any property owner that wants COs, it's their responsibility to get it. This is like when the city had a tree grant. The city obtained the grant, but then the residents had to pay the portion of the grant that was the matching funds. So there are no free lunches here. And as for council comments, well, this is a great night. The TPO meeting for January has been canceled, so there will be no South Beaches Coalition meeting this month. And I just want to make this observation. It doesn't have anything to do with city business, but I believe you all know that the wood stork is an endangered species. Well, yesterday morning when I got up, I looked out in my backyard, and there was the biggest wood stork I've ever seen in my life, and he was in my yard. I was just in awe. That's all.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to say, again, Happy New Year to everybody. Some things talking about last year, I did attend the Ocean Reef Festival at Pelican Beach Park, which I think was well received. I had a lot of great comments by a lot of people that were there. I enjoyed seeing all the folks there. I think it was well done. I think many people were saying they're looking forward to it happening again another year. I'd also like to say thanks to the fire department for providing transportation to Santa this year. I stood out on my street with many of my neighbors, and all the kids were very enjoyed to see Santa come up there. Job well done to them as usual. And I also just like to say thanks to Courtney for, we had an issue that was brought to us about the Santa and the fire truck image that was brought to us, and I followed up with Courtney, and that issue was taken care of, and the city paid it, and all is well. So appreciate that, taking care of that, as a citizen brought that up as a concern. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Just real briefly, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Jagutis kind of hit on it a little bit, but I would like to say to you and to Courtney and to City Hall, nice job on the Beachcaster. That was a good summary that was provided of everything that's gone on and the work that everybody on council, including City Hall, has done. So I just want to, I've heard this from many people, that that Beachcaster was really top-notch, and it was nice to see it printed out and just to kind of hit the highlights along the way. So just my gratitude, and on behalf of several others as well, as for the Beachcaster, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, I'll thank council, because I think we have a community effort up here, and we work together. Everybody here has a little different strong points, and somehow we tend to blend together well and to get things accomplished. The Ocean Reef Festival, if you didn't attend, you missed a great day. And I think, for me, it really shed a light on what the people in the city really care about. They love their ocean. They love things that have to do with nature and so forth in it. And Rodney Smith, his family, and the whole group that put that on, they did an incredible job. And it was a lot of fun, and it's the thing, I think, that brings the community together there. So a lot of people hadn't seen in a while, and it was a great, great affair. That's all I have to say. At this time, we'll go to the city manager's report. Courtney?
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to remind council that we have a board handbook workshop on January 14th, and then we will have the Montecito Town Hall meeting on January 28th. The notices for the Montecito meeting will be going out tomorrow. And I think I've spoken with you, on each of you, on how we were going to do that, set up that meeting. So if I haven't done that, I will get with you and we'll talk about how we're going to set that meeting up. The school board is having a legislative recommendations workshop, and the date has changed. They announced that in the newspaper, so it's actually next Thursday on January 15th. And then, of course, they also switched the time, so it's at 6:30. It's still located at Satellite High School Auditorium, and Amy Nisi will be leading that workshop. So if you don't have a lot of legislative priorities for the school board, at least attend so you can speak with your school board member, Amy, who's a wonderful person as well as educator. I did want to mention that I left out a thank you letter, and it's for Darren Frost that we received. And this is, we get a lot of thank you notes from people who have been pulled over by the police department, which is odd, usually get yelled at, but they even if they get a warning or a ticket, they still talk about the professionalism and the kindness that our police officers give our residents and as well as our visitors. So, and then, of course, Darren Frost was no different in this case, and we received a nice long email about everything he did and how kind his attitude was, and we want to thank him for his work. I did want to mention, that's not in my report, but we have a farmer's market that's doing very well, actually. We had expanded the farmer's market from food out of the ground things only during the holidays for for basically like a holiday shopping, and it was very successful. So the rec department would like to continue that until it's, maybe unsuccessful. And to give you an idea of how well it's done, since March of 2014 through through December 2014, the farmers market has made $4,875 in rent. So that's what we bring in for just the city's participation in that. We also have a good bonfire permit business going too, and we brought in the last 2 months $6,075 in bonfire permit fees. So that's how popular that program is, and the fire department does a great job of managing that. And I think a lot of the other departments help out in kind of managing the bonfires themselves, as well as cleaning up afterwards. So thank you to the police department and Public Works for that endeavor. I also wanted to mention that the county is doing their bargain sea oat sale that was mentioned by Mr. Jagutis a little while ago. These applications are at the table back there. They're also available at City Hall, and we can certainly email that to anybody who needs one. The city, and to respond to the concerns of Mr. Jagutis, the CRA cannot pay for COs. Those are not a redevelopment activity, and it's not in our redevelopment plan, so we'd actually have to do a plan amendment for that, and you'd have to figure out what the redevelopment activity would be with that. And then also, you could pay for some with general fund, you just have to define a public purpose for that and create a program to do it. We just can't pay an invoice when people submit things on private property. That's not the way government works. They can submit the invoices, but they'll go unpaid unless council does a formal action in creating a program that allows us to do that. That's it.
We have an action item?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do have an action item. We are asking you for your favored option on ethics training. As you recall, the last legislative session, ethics training was, expanded to municipal elected officials. Before, it was only required of county officials. In this case, you can opt for an online training course, which would cost approximately $800 for everyone. But again, our city clerk, as well as I, and our assistant city manager have to also take this training along with you, so we can answer your questions as well. And that would add on to that. Our recommendation would be to hire an attorney that's certified to do that training, to come in and speak with you, and have basically a session, so you can ask questions and get those questions answered. We can also, if you want to do this, look at partnerships with the League of Cities or also other beachside communities to see if they want to join in and help pay for the cost. Maybe do 1 or 2 sessions, so you can pick which one you can attend. And that way you'll be with other council members too and hear some of the other issues that other cities have encountered. So usually that type of training is, I think, more beneficial personally.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we follow staff's recommendation to hire an attorney to conduct the training for ethics, and that I think if we can explore the idea of involving other cities or councils in the process of this training to help not only lower the costs but make it more usable, I would like to see us pursue that as well.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilman Breimer, second by Councilman Osmer. Further discussion from the council? Hearing none at this time, I will open it up for public comment on this action item. Hearing none, back to council. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilwoman Dodd?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
And Mayor, before I just saw Mr. Headley, so it reminded me of what Councilman Osmer also said. We did check into that issue with the image that Mr. Headley brought up at the last meeting, and it was not paid for. So we did go ahead and pay for that, and an email has been sent to all the staff members to be able to recognize those watermarks and understand that they can't use those images without paying for them. So I appreciate it being brought up. And, and honestly, if it wasn't for Mr. Headley, we probably would have never known, because we don't see that watermark like he does. That's his business, so we appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. Moving on to agenda item 6, recognition of the city personnel for a life-saving event. And I believe Chief Hughes.
Well, let me just go on record, being a fire chief, and all these cops here, I'm scared. Real quick here, and just wanted to take an opportunity and to recognize specifically one police officer for actions that they did on a cardiac arrest. And let me just give you a quick recap. Early December, we had a citizen who collapsed in cardiac arrest at the Schechner Center, and during an event that was going on there, a recreation department employee and a citizen both immediately intervened, one beginning CPR, the other one dialing 911, and within moments, as they're doing CPR on him, Officer Matt Bennett from the police department arrived about 1 to 2 minutes after the call came in, and Officer Bennett came in and he had his automatic external defibrillator. He applied it, accorded the training, and it analyzed the heart. It told him to push a button because the patient needed to be shocked, and that occurred. And something that doesn't happen all that often, the patient's pulses returned immediately, and that is not something that happens all that often. And, and then within a moment or two, the police or the fire department was coming in, and then our paramedics continued advanced care with the patient en route to the hospital. He wasn't in cardiac arrest anymore, however, the patient had to be sedated, placed back on a ventilator to deal with a few issues. But the good news is this: the patient survived that incident. Well, the reason I kind of bring this up, and I want to recognize Officer Bennett here, more than anything, this demonstrates the system that we have. And the system that we have is that first of all, we've got citizens who are engaged and were willing to step forward. The particular citizen did not want to be recognized in any way, shape, or form for the act that she did. We had a 911 system, and we had a dispatcher, Kelly Flutie from the police department, who answered that call and within 20 seconds had it processed, transferred to the county for ambulance dispatch, and had notified the police department and the fire department at the same time. So you can't discount what a dispatcher does. You have a police officer who's on patrol, he's equipped, he's trained, he arrives very quickly, and then you have a fire department with their paramedics with the investment that you've put into them to continue that patient care on. This system works, and this is just an illustration of how it works. Last year for 2014, and I'm pleased to say, is that we had a 60% cardiac arrest survival rate in this city. The national average, according to the American Heart Association, is less than 15%. Why is that? Because we have a system that works. So I would just like to take the opportunity, because it doesn't happen often, and for what Officer Bennett did. Where'd you go, dude? There you are. Well, you're all wearing the same thing, and I can't. Officer Bennett, come on up here. I was going to actually make you an honorary firefighter, but I thought maybe. But, sir, I want to take the opportunity and thank you for what you did. Your family is here, and your children are here. And this is one of those things that doesn't happen often, and we just thought it was important enough for you to be individually recognized, because we talk about that police department, fire department rivalry that goes on, and, most of the time the fire department wins. But this is just to show you, we do work well together and do good things for the citizen, and I just wanted to take that opportunity to thank you very much. And I think Chief Pearson has something for you also.
I do. Not only do I want to say thank you very much, not only for me and from all of your fellow officers that are here to support you, but not only that, but the citizens of Satellite Beach. And I was telling your family, I was telling Maureen this year, your wife, and Jason, Blaine, your kids, and your mom, and your dad, and your grandma, and I think that's fantastic. I said to them earlier that when you become a police officer, the thing that everybody always says is, I want to help people. I want to help people. That's what I want to do. I want to get into this business because I want to help people. There is no better help than to save someone's life. And there's a lot of things that you can do in law enforcement that can be very helpful. None are any bigger than that. And there are many officers that go their entire career and never have the opportunity. And sometimes when they do, they don't engage it and they don't do it exactly like they should. And sometimes they don't have that same result. But not only were you there, not only were you on patrol, but you did exactly what you're supposed to do. You did it perfectly. You did it professionally, and that saved someone's life. And I'm not really sure it gets much better than that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer you this pin that is a life-saving pin. This is one of the highest awards that can be received by the police department. And the awards committee met, and it took, 3 seconds for that committee to decide that this was well-deserved. And I would like you to place this on your uniform and wear it proudly. And that way, anytime anybody asks you, hey, what's that mean, you can tell them I saved someone's life. Thank you.
Thank you. Another great reason for why we live here. And again, well-trained people doing their job. And thank you guys very, very much for what you do for us. Chiefs, thank you.
I just wanted to add, we've had 2 incidences at the Schechter Center. And because of that, the fire chief and the police chief and all of the department heads decided to do some training for the whole city staff. to make sure that we can react just as Officer Bennett did. And I have to say, I probably have said Officer Bennett's name about 100 times because we're real proud of him right now. But I wanted to also mention the AEDs?
Yes.
AEDs that we have situated on the walls for
I actually had a note to
access.
say that
Yeah.
and forgot it.
Okay.
Yeah, just to build on the system component, because there's some other things that's part of this, and we talk about those automatic external defibrillators. We have them strategically placed in all of our public buildings throughout the city. We have it here, we have it at the Schechner Center, we have one at the library, we've got it at the tennis huts, we've had a few other businesses that we've partnered with for them to put them in their places, and it was all because we knew that one day it might be necessary. The law enforcement component, that was from a grant that I believe you assisted us on in 1995.
What do you mean
That-
assisted?
Because she wrote.
You wrote, in 1995, we were one of the first agencies in Brevard County where our police officers were carrying AEDs, and that was in 1995, and today, that was, the offshoot of that. So, I mean, this has been a long-term strategy, and that's what it is, a strategy.
And the ones in the public buildings that are accessible by the public were all provided by community volunteers.
Yes.
Money was raised and provided to the
Yeah.
city by volunteers.
As people made donations, we would aggregate their donations, and then we would put an AED in their name for them. Yeah. So.
I thought that was a good tidbit. That just says Satellite Beach right there.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Courtney, appreciate it. Moving on to Agenda Item 7, discuss, take action on the amendment to the contract between the city and the Fraternal Order of the Police.
Thank you, Mayor. The staff has gone through negotiations with FOP. It's taken a long time to get, they weren't that big of a change, so we were just waiting, it just took a while. The changes are basically, we changed the certification number in Article 1. We changed in the hours of work and overtime. We changed in terms of how the overtime is divvied out to the employees. That process was amended and then placed into the contract. And then we also provided additional hours of 20 hours of leave to the members in lieu of a salary increase this year. So with we'd like your approval on this contract.
Move to approve the amendments to the FY 13-14 FOP union contract.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gott, second by Councilman Breimer. Any further discussion from council? At this time, open up for Agenda Item 7 for public comment.
This item here and the previous item are a perfect example of what happens when you have your own police department rather than relying on the county. If you have, not that and I have a lot of friends on the Brevard County Sheriff's Department, but if we had the county, our response time would be much greater than what we have, because, Brevard, Satellite Beach is only a mile and a half long, or if we're having to rely on people coming across the bridge, we'd probably have double the response time. Sheriff Ivey says that, on average, our response time with the county is, 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes here, it's all over with. We got everybody already there. So, what I say here is whatever to me, the police are underpaid. Whatever they want, give them everything they can possibly get, because, they do, a tremendous job for us. Now, this isn't, Missouri or New York, where they're getting shot at every day, but they could. And, every morning they walk up, they strap that, their gun on and the bulletproof vest on, and they put their life on the line for us. And we should compensate them as best we possibly can.
Thank you very much. Further comments?
Gabe Fine, citizen. Thank all the people tonight. Just a note to, as far as our police department goes, we first of all, the last I remember is response time from county For people, it's 15 minutes, and our response time, I believe, is just about a little over 2 minutes. So that's just proof of the pudding. You have probably, there's no probably about it. I know because I've dealt with police departments throughout the county and down to Fort Pierce, sheriff's departments, etc., in my business when I was still working. We have the best police department around. We need to give them everything we can as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor still open? Hearing no further comment, bring it back to council. Courtney, just one thing, just might be a dumb question. The certification number, is that why does it go from 445 to 1379? Just
Because that was back when we had coastal PDA. And
Okay.
because it's just a blanket paragraph, everybody would open to the first real section and never really ever looked at it. And we had Wayne Helsby, and they had the attorney for FOP, and they just happened to notice it and said, wait, that's not the right article number.
Okay.
So that's an FOP change.
Great, thank you. Further questions from council?
Looking over and having over 20 years experience with unions and union contracts and as now being management, how did it go for the union members? Are they happy with this? They're not happy with it? You thought it went out well?
It went very, very well. As a matter of fact, it went extremely well. The negotiations went well. It was unanimously, I'm almost positive it was unanimous, right? It was a unanimous vote. It always has been. The city council of Satellite Beach, almost every year that I've been here, has been and had an absolutely outstanding relationship with the union, and the union has been just as good back, and that's what makes it easy. It was great. They're very fortunate. They understand the situation about raises. The city manager's made her position clear on what her desires for the future, and that 20 hours of leave that you're hopefully going to approve here that's been done was very well received and appreciated.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you.
Chief, I certainly support this 100%, and I wish we could do more, and I know you and Courtney are looking at the whole city and that sort of thing. We're coming out of this economic mess, but when times have been as lean as they have been, it's sometimes tough to keep the chin up. It really is, but I just want to thank you for everything you guys have done, guys and gals have done. It's been great, and thank you for continuing to work with us. So,
thank you very much. And if I could add, the reason it's so easy to keep our chin up is because of the city manager, and she has come to meetings which never really happened in the past. She's come to department meetings, she's sat in front of each and every police officer, and she tells them exactly what she thinks and what her position is. She's very, very supportive. She's open and transparent and will answer any question. And when they see that she really, really believes that she wants to do what she can within reason when it's possible, and they believe it and they understand it, and they're willing to go to bat for her, as am I, because we understand that she's got the best interest of everybody, and when she can do it, she will, and we'll be fine.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Godd?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Chief, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure working with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we'll continue the great relationship.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 8, discuss, take action on the request for proposal, invitation to bid for the tennis courts resurfacing.
Thank you. Good evening. We went out for bid for resurfacing all 8 tennis courts. We received 2 bids. One was virtually disqualified because they did not submit an accurate bid. The remaining bid is the Nutty Company. They're the ones who have always done our projects previously. Actually, since the courts were built, I think in '74, they've always been the ones doing it. So we're always pleased with their work and would be pleased if they could be awarded the bid. The bid amounts $33,248, I believe, for all 8 courts.
Move to award the bid to 90 companies to resurface 8 tennis courts at DeSoto Tennis Courts in the amount of $33,248.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Godd, second by Councilman Breimer. Carrie, question quick. McLean's Tennis, they submitted the bid wrong, and then you guys went back and they continued to,
We went back 3 times,
okay.
and at the 3rd time, the price they gave us was $300,000 and $300,000 and change, and they didn't get the project name right. Then they submitted a bid that was free because they put no money to it, and then they submitted the bid again for $300,000. So that was not a company we felt comfortable using.
It gets to a point where that many errors, you're worried about the work that they do in itself.
Yeah, and they're going to do the work at the Fort Bolton Beach Tennis Center.
Yes, they certainly were.
Other question,
And that may be true.
So it seems to me that one of the issues on tennis courts, the cracks are, no one wants to take the initiative to guarantee any of that. That's just something that occurs because of the type of materials and stuff. Because reading through here, you know, they'll patch them, but they don't guarantee anything on them, and it seems to be, is that the ongoing problem?
It's fairly ongoing. We're about 4 years behind in getting those courts resurfaced, so the cracks are a bit bigger now than they should be. Nighty Company does a fantastic job. They sand them down, they seal them with an acrylic sealer, and they put 2 coats of plexi coat over it. So it is as good as it's going to get with the system that they're using. And we expect to resurface tennis courts about every 5 to 6 years. We're at 8 years now, I think.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
How long does this process take, do you estimate?
We think it's going to take about 2 weeks if they don't have bad weather.
Okay.
And we don't feel like we're going to be able to start till the season is over for the league, and that's probably around late April.
Okay. That's all.
Any further questions at this time?
I just think it's awful generous to go back 3 times to give somebody the opportunity. I do have quite a bit of experience doing RFPs and bids, and generally speaking, when you open the mail, if it's incorrect, that's just the end of it. There is no going back, there is no second opportunities. If you're really interested in the project, if you really want to do it, you would take enough care to make sure you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and do everything correctly. I think you're right. If something had that many mistakes, I think I would be a little nervous about them actually doing the work if you can't get the paperwork right.
Thank you. At this time, open up for public comment on this agenda item.
I have one question. How come you're doing?
Excuse me, just one thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Formality, but you got to state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Richard Charbonneau, various addresses in Satellite Beach. How come you're doing RFP versus RFQ?
Courtney?
This is a bid.
I mean, RFP is kind of, loosey-goosey, lets them kind of bid anything they want, really, where RFQ is a hard number.
This was a bid.
Pardon?
It's a bid, a construction bid. It's not an RFQ or an RFP. It's just a flat-out bid. We put the specs out, and people put a price to it and send it back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a construction bid.
I think you said RFP.
My comment is, I've worked with a lot of RFPs.
I mean, RFP to me is.
Similar
The county,
process.
Similar process.
the county does everything RFP, and it's way too loose, in my opinion.
The county does not. The county commission approves the RFPs. The county sends out bids probably daily, but you guys don't know about it. I mean, that's just done on a staff administrative level. So construction bids are sent out constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in our city, we like our council to approve those, so we send our bids here too. In larger governments, they don't do that. It's administrative.
So when you're purchasing a large construction project, do you do RFP or RFQ?
You do a bid, a construction bid.
So that sounds like an RFQ.
No, an RFQ is a request for qualifications, so you would send in like your...
No, request for a quote is an RFQ.
And it's a request for qualifications. And a request for proposal is you send in a proposal, and usually that comes with a price
Yeah.
sometimes, depending on the type of project. But a construction bid is a list of specs that are sent out, and they bid on those specs. So there's really no creativity among the group that's doing it. They're just submitting what they can do that bid for.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like about the RFP is it wiggle room on the bid, where some person can say, well, we're given this, and we're saying that this is the value to it, when it's a subjective number. Whereas, as opposed to a flat number.
Good process.
This is my thought.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Hearing none, bring it back to council. Any further comments from council? Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dodd? Yes. Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, discuss, take action on extension of the Satellite Beach Soccer Club donation agreement.
As you recall, when we were discussing with the soccer club and football and various other organizations lighting one of the fields at the sports park, the soccer club wanted to show good intent. They donated $10,000 to the city. The agreement stated that the project would need to get underway by the end of 2014. It has not, because we did not get one of the grants that we submitted. They did get their $50,000 grant. We are asking for an extension of another year for the agreement. Soccer has already agreed to sign the form or the agreement. We will find out our rankings in February for the FERDAP grant, and we will find out about the third week of January for the USSF grant. Even though we find out the rankings for FERDAP in February, that does not in any way give you an indication that you were funded, since we don't know how the legislature is going to allocate the money. Last year, they only gave money to projects 50,000 or less, but they funded all of them at 50,000 or less. So, yeah.
Move to approve the amended conditional gift agreement between the city and the Satellite Beach Soccer Club.
I second.
A motion by Councilwoman Dodd, second by Councilman Osmer. So basically what we're waiting for is an update on the grants. And two, because it was supposed to be here and they extended it, is that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Do we need to attach a date to this extension, 12/31/15, or?
It's in the agreement.
Okay, I just want to, as far as, okay, gotcha, all right.
Any further questions from council before we go? Okay, this time open up for agenda number 9 for public comment. Hearing none, bring it back to council. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dodd?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Carrie, thank you very much.
I'll notify soccer.
Thank you. Tell them thank you for their work, too.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 10, discuss, provide direction to staff on sign moratorium. Courtney?
Thank you, Mayor. In this package, we have actually asked for your direction on whether or not you want to establish the sign moratorium in a permanent ordinance, or if you wanted to, not do that. I have had some concerns provided to me by individual members as well as some community members, and I think it would be prudent to extend the moratorium for 6 months so that staff can come back with some of those issues and some solutions to those issues during that period of time, if that's something that would be a compromise for all of you.
Motion to extend the moratorium 6 months per direction of the city manager.
I second that.
A motion by Councilman Breimer, second by Councilman Osmer. Further discussion from council? At this time, open up agenda item 10 for public comment. Hearing none, back to council. Further discussion? Hearing none?
Councilwoman Dodd?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, moving on to agenda item 11, discuss, take action on council goal setting for 2015, and I believe at your desk, there was a handout? Yeah. Okay. Courtney?
We have compiled, I sent them over to Councilwoman Gott to compile into one document, which we have provided to you. I have to say that I was surprised to see how cohesive all of you were, what your goals were. You all were very similar in what you wanted to achieve over the year. Like last year, we continue with the CFAL. We have the 100 acres, and we also have the business environment, of course. But one thing that really stood out this year was your desire to deal with infrastructure. So all of you had that issue in terms of creating an annual street repaving program and coming up with the funding to do that. So that was something I wanted to point out. And then a lot of you wanted to continue enhancing our communication with our residents. So that was a big issue. I think our community neighborhood meetings are going to start that process. And then we're also redesigning the website, so we'll have the RFP to you in a couple months for your approval to start that process. So I think this year those two issues are probably the most pressing and probably the biggest issues that you brought up.
Questions from council? I have one.
Comment.
Okay.
When I coordinated the goals for 2015, I looked back at both our 2013 and our 2014 goals, and we've done a really good job of achieving almost all of the goals on each of those years' lists. And so the ones that weren't accomplished or not fully accomplished in 2014 have actually been rolled over into 2015, so they haven't been dropped. So they're included here. So.
One of my big concerns that I know bugged Courtney probably too much on was the infrastructure. Because anytime we work on roads now, it's just not going to be a road project anymore, for the most part. We got to make sure that the stormwater is going to meet the next levels or steps with the state's plan. And so when we do this, it's not going to be an inexpensive thing. And I think, before we used to have a project where every couple of years we just did a paving project. But now they're going to be much greater than that. And the one thing that never changes when there is a bad economy, and that's Mother Nature, or anything that wears out. The roads still wear out, your air conditioning buildings are still running, everything still continues. But the roads and the stormwater are numbers that we almost can't control. And if we don't start now, if we wait 5 years to do it, it's going to cost you that much more. We can control cost of employees, we can control a lot of things, but we can't control the cost of this stuff if we don't get going and at least have a plan for it. So, to me, that was the biggest thing I looked at, was how are we going to afford to do this on roads and in stormwater that's as old as the community. So I hope we make a real, and I know talking to Courtney on this, they've already started, make a real big effort this year to, plan and, finance how we're going to do this. Any further?
I'd like to agree with them, and I think one of the things that I know that Courtney and I talked a lot about was the communication with the residents. And when you talk about projects like this, especially things that are going to cost money, things that could affect taxes and millage rate, stuff like that, I think it's very important that the residents understand in detail what we're talking about, why we're talking about it, what the agenda is or what the schedule is, and kind of keep that up there all the time. You can't tell somebody that, in the January meeting, and then we never discuss it again until maybe in September when we try to do a project. We have to keep people on board all the time and up front so they know what's coming. And I think then you get a little bit less resistance if people understand where you're going, why you're doing what you're doing, how you're going to get there. So I know that was one of my important things, just to make sure that we always keep everybody involved, keep the information flowing as much as we possibly could, and as many ways as we could. Understanding, just like the Beachcaster, some people love it electronically, some people like it by paper. So I think it's the communication of the residents needs to be multi-ways. We need to get it across to whatever way we can get the most people and the most reach so that we can accomplish these goals. And I think people will feel better knowing that we are accomplishing goals. We can tell them we're accomplishing them and show that to them. So I think that will dovetail exactly what you're saying. In order to do these goals, we got to keep everybody informed and on board so they know what's going on and feel comfortable with it.
So I agree 100%.
Yeah, just a couple. Just want to follow up on your infrastructure comments. I mean, every time it rains, these roads look a little worse. And I think that we're going to be, we and councils after us are going to be facing this for a while, just because it hasn't been done. We went through that period of time where nothing was essentially done. So I think, yeah, that's going to be something where we be in catch-up for a long, long time, so it's going to be important. And again, the second thing I have, Mr. Mayor, is just, Lorraine, thank you for pulling all this together, making it readable and on one page and all that doodah. But it's nice when it's condensed like that so you can read it, so thank you.
At this time, open it up for any public comment concerning our goals. Hearing none, back to council.
Move to adopt the proposed city council goals for 2015.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gott, second by Councilman Breimer to adopt proposed city goals for 2015. Little one? That's okay.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Mayor King?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councilman Gott. You're up there. Moving on to council agenda number 12, discuss, take action on a request to amend the council policy and procedures presented by Councilman Osmer. Steve, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things that I looked at going through here, and I know we're in Florida, and I know probably many people's feelings as far as dress codes and stuff go. One thing that kind of puzzled me is I noticed that we had casual attire for like half the year, and then we went to what I would think is an extreme business attire for the other half of the year. I think if as a city, if we're trying to make a point, if we're trying to be businesslike, then we should be businesslike all year, not half the year. Or if we're trying to be casual-like, then we should just be casual, if that's the image we're trying to project as here. Again, keeping in mind we are here in Florida, I would want to make a kind of a proposal that we kind of, for lack of better terms, ditch the coat and tie part of it. My suggestion would be that we get something maybe more toward like a business casual. Collared shirts is still a good thing. Again, where most people work during the day in an office atmosphere, they're usually wearing, slacks, khakis, whatever, and a collared shirt. I think we should still reserve the right. In other words, if we have a special occasion, a special guest, VIP, special award, or whatever, we can still obviously alter the attire for that meeting. In other words, we can always dress up. I don't think that we need to always stay dressed up for that point. So that was kind of what my thoughts were. Again, I was kind of looking forward to maybe kind of just changing that to more, as I say, more of a business casual type attire, unless somebody really knows the reason why we need to be in the suit and ties all year round. Again, I'm just trying to figure, I don't know what the history was behind that or what the purpose was, or obviously, I mean, if there's something in the history of it that I don't know about, I'm all ears, but again, I think the business casual would kind of be a better attire to wear for these type of meetings.
I mean, you don't have to look at me. Thanks. How's the rest of the council
He's
feel?
not talking about socks, though, so.
I don't think that includes.
Well, I don't have a dog in this hunt, but it has been the tradition in this city that the men wear coat and tie when the weather is permissible. And also, I do believe that appearances matter. This is the governing body of a municipality, and it says something when men show up in coat and ties and women look their beautiful selves. I recall the 2012 council, as I sat in the audience and watched the shenanigans going on, I couldn't help but observe how they were all dressed. Very casual, and it just looked disrespectful to me. And I know I come from a background that's a little tighter than some, but I think it's a good idea to continue it, and when the weather, permits it.
The other part of this was, Steve, is, and I'm back from the 90s is when I was here, first got started. Part of it is that we noticed, or it was noticed at that time, that there was a greater attendance level from about August through the first part of the year due to the budget process. That's when people really came out. And that was one of the reasons why that was to look more formal during that period of time. The summer, the agendas were typically a little lighter, attendance was very sparse. So, and of course, for the weather possibilities as well was mentioned in there too. But that kind of goes with some of the tradition, is that the fall time was usually, we're getting into budget, we're getting into a lot of activities with budget. That's kind of where some of that came from.
Again, I'm a little bit more on the casual side. Again, wasn't in the service where the dress-up was. But I really think professionalism is more how you handle yourself and really how you dress. And not that we would ever dress in a manner that would disrespect the city. But I think today in a lot of business settings you go to, coat and ties, even in some of the biggest people I've dealt with in their offices, don't use that dress code anymore. And again, I have no problem with it on special occasions, but I like the collared shirt and khakis and the...
Well, that was the other thing, is that we all, back during that time, and you remember this time, we used to collect the council shirts and that sort of thing, so everybody didn't just show up in a pullover T-shirt. They had something that said council person on it. So when the jacket was off, you typically wore the council shirt. You didn't just show up in whatever happened to be in the closet.
And I've gone to other council meetings. I've been to Melbourne and some of the others, and, they're not always in shirt and tie, the men were, so...
And that's how I looked at it. I mean, again, I deal with the military and business every day, and I do have occasions where I wear a suit, but that's usually when I'm going to meet with the general and award fair briefings or, VIPs and stuff like that we do. But generally, again, although I say business casual as opposed to just casual, I mean, I don't think it's very appropriate that we show up here in a T-shirt, flip-flops, and shorts by any means. I think you should come in here and look professional and, Mr. Mayor. But I think again, it should be a business casual, a business look to it. Again, it should look, as a business attire as opposed to a very casual attire. And I know that because when you look at that in there, it actually says casual attire April through September. Casual attire leaves a lot open there. Again, casual attire could be T-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. And that's why I said I'm not really for that type. I think it should be more of a business all the time type look.
Well, one possible solution on this is, as you've done throughout this year, is just designate next meeting is whatever, or designate it as casual unless you say otherwise, unless City Hall recommends otherwise, rather than changing this, just if somebody from City Hall or you call and say shirt and tie next time with jacket, if you want to make it float rather than change this around is my point.
Someone asked him, how about our policies? Do I have that latitude in the policy? Well, I would rather do it right, if either put that in or change it if we're going to do it. If not, then leave it this way, because I wouldn't want to, do it that's not the correct way here, so.
Staff could always warn you when you're having guests here that we think you need to dress up, and we'll be glad to send out an email if that's something you'd like to do. If you'd like us to manage that, we have no problem with that.
If we can change it, then we need a motion.
Yeah, last thing again, my change for the whole thing realistically is what I would just say, as where it says business attire, coat and tie for men from October to March, I would just say business casual from October through March. That would be the probably simplest, easiest change to it, and not change the whole thing.
You make it the whole year, and with the provision, we want to have the provision in there.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, that the special occasions the mayor can request.
Yeah.
Suit and tie, that way, when we do it,
So if we're doing, honoring somebody and wanting to,
like tonight.
Yeah,
right.
So are we saying business casual year-round,
yes.
except as determined otherwise by the council?
Yes.
That would be good.
That would be good.
That sounds good.
Do I have that as a motion?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I have a motion by
Unless you want
Councilman.
to.
Go ahead, Al.
I have a motion by Councilman Breimer. Do I have a second?
I'll second
I have
that.
a second by Councilman Osmer.
Hang on just a minute.
Okay.
I didn't mean to steal your motion.
No.
do with the city attorney?
Don't talk to him.
He's an attorney, he has to dress like that.
There's only so many things we can tackle. I
Managers
guess.
have to dress like this, too.
It's the mayor, not the council, that will be making the decision. Because you have to, in order for council to make the decision, there has to be a meeting.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to change Section D, council attire, to business casual attire shall be deemed appropriate for council meetings year-round unless otherwise determined by the mayor.
Is that from? Yeah. This time, open it up for public comment on this agenda item.
And let me ask one, do you want to keep for the workshops and emergency meetings, the casual attire provision, keep that the same?
That's fine.
Okay.
Joanne Regan, resident. Was that editing to include both genders?
No.
So the female gender has to wear business attire and the male gender wears business casual attire?
No. Council.
Business,
So you're going to make it gender neutral?
yes.
Thank you.
Gabe Fines, resident. Since this was the longest discussion of the night on any agenda, I don't feel too bad about coming up here. Okay? Listen, I just want to tell you something. I would say that you guys always look professional, look good. I'm just glad you're here. And, you know, my experience is, we had a council meeting in Fort Pierce. The council chambers in Fort Pierce is about 8 times the size of this, at least. It was standing room only, and I was the main attraction. The reason for that was they, for some stupid reason, decided to close both bridges going to Hutchinson Island. The citizens wanted to know how much I was going to jack up my gas prices, how much I was going to rip them off. My response was, hey guys, I got to go 102 miles round trip with a full tank of gasoline, with a truck that gets about 3 or 4 miles to the gallon, and you expect me to maintain the same gas prices. That ain't gonna happen. My point is this, you know how many council members showed up to that meeting with a standing room only? One council member never said a word. Never said a word except to open the meeting. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gabe. Any further public comments? Hearing none, bring it back to council. Any further council? Lenore?
Councilman Dodd?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 13. It's agenda for our next council meeting. So let me start by, we'll have city council photos at 6:30. And we have the workshop.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I'm getting there. You're out of order.
You haven't decided yet.
I was going to say it.
Oh, my goodness.
We will be in a coat tie for that one. Let me put it this way, for the picture. City Council proposed workshop meeting, January 14th at 7 p.m. And again, the pictures will be at 6:30, and we're working on the board and committee handbook.
It comes to my attention that Vice Mayor Montanaro might be in Virginia on Thursday. I'm not sure if he's going to travel for Wednesday, so
Okay.
we may have to postpone the pictures, and we'll find that out.
And if you do, just let us know from the dress-in. Thank you very much. And then on the 21st is our regular council meeting, and if there's other items that you would like on it, please get with Courtney on it.
Courtney, do we have, and if we're not ready yet, that's fine, do we have any report on Patrick Air Force Base and any of that stuff that we could bring forward, or is it just too soon for that? And if it's too soon, I'm fine,
Yeah, I've just been updating all of you individually. But yeah, right now, our consultant would like us to hold off on
Okay.
on that until we get our P4 finalized.
Gotcha.
That's
So the
fine.
stormwater issue, and then go down the path.
Then don't make that an agenda item.
Right, okay. Anyway, look over it, and if there's anything else that needs to be added, please see our city manager. Open the public comment for agenda item 13, which is our workshop and our next council meeting. Hearing none, back to council. Any further additions to it at this time?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 14, appointments to boards. We have a couple reappointments. Can we take them separately?
Move to reappoint Lucia Watson to the library board as a regular member and James Strayer to the rec board as an alternate member.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Gott, second by Councilman Breimer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes. Motion carries. Those two will be reappointed. And we have a new interview today. Mr. Charbonneau, Neil Johnson has not been interviewed, therefore we cannot vote on him. So I would need a motion. There are no motion. We'll move on to, or open up for public comment because it is an agenda item. Hearing none. Moving on to agenda item 15, which is a city council workshop, minutes for our council meetings.
Move to adopt the minutes of the December 3rd workshop meeting and the December 3rd regular meeting as submitted.
Motion by Councilwoman Gott. I have a second by Councilman Osmer on the minutes. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Any further business needed before the council? Again, thank you to your staff and everybody, long agenda, and the meeting's adjourned.
Any dates?